My fiancé fell for the impoverished student I sponsored. To demonstrate his resolve, he defied his family and even stormed into our home to bluntly break off the engagement. My father was incandescent with rage. My mother nearly fainted. Overnight, I became the laughingstock of our social circle. Unbeknownst to anyone, we convened a family meeting that very night, each of us coolly dissecting the situation point by point. My father took a sip of tea. Distance enhances admiration. Study abroad for a few years. Retreat to advance strategically. My mother's expression was serene. Rebrand your persona. While he performs as the delicate ingenue, you'll embody the unattainable muse. I smiled. Then I'll start by feigning depression. On the day of my return, industry friends hosted a welcome banquet for me. After several rounds of drinks, the private room rang with laughter. Someone pushed open the door. The next instant, the convivial atmosphere froze. The arrivals were my ex-fiancé and his girlfriend. I turned my head to look, meeting a pair of familiar ice-cold eyes. Jiyu's gaze lingered on me disproportionately long. This caused one man behind him to gradually pale, as the assembled guests exchanged uneasy glances. Some watched my expression warily. After a brief moment of stunned silence, I naturally raised my hand to beckon them over. Come, have a seat. It was as if the drama of 3 years ago had never transpired. Jiyu's expression flickered with complexity, as though on the verge of speaking. In the end, he only responded with a faint acknowledgement. When Man sat beside him, straining to maintain a decorous smile but unable to hide her stiffness. The guests understood tacitly, their gazes toward her laden with satirize. I had pulled him from destitution and sponsored his education, yet he had stolen my fiancé. Who could respect such treachery? In recent years, our family's enterprises had grown rapidly, subtly threatening to overtake the G family's holdings. The shrewd attendees, whether seeking to avenge me or pursuing self-interest, unanimously marginalized when Man threw toasts, rendering her invisible. She looked to Jiyu for help, but he uncharacteristically remained silent, a measuring gaze flickering intermittently over me. Even in the dim lighting, when Man's tense, bloodless complexion was impossible to miss. Having savored the scene enough, I leisurely raised my glass to intervene. You two are late. 3 shots as punishment, no objections? No skimping on the rules. As the words fell, the room wore varied expressions. Jiyu swiftly chimed in, exactly, it's Chaonan's return. Don't ruin the mood. Jiyu said nothing, downing 3 glasses with crisp efficiency, wrist flicking the cup upside down, not a drop spared. Our eyes met, his gesture seeming a silent apology for the past. I smiled faintly, turning to one man. She lifted her glass, forcing a grimace, avoiding my gaze. As I reached to clink cups, she recoiled violently, as if from a monster, hand spasming, the glass shattering on the floor. Others protested. Oh gee, what's with your girl? Sister Chao's letting bygones be bygones, and she's acting high and mighty, ruining our vibe. Jiyu shot her a displeased glance but still defended her. Man didn't mean it. Let's not overreact. When Man hung her head, whispering an apology, eyes red as if unjustly wronged. A friend unaffiliated with the jest bristled. That's it, my temper's flaring. I held him back, smile amiable. We're all friends. This is trivial. The past is buried. Let's not revisit it. I looked at Jiyu and one man draining a glass to signal peace. Jiyu's features softened, a flicker of warmth in his eyes. The room understood. Grievances were laid to rest. The atmosphere warmed again. Later, I stepped to the terrace for air, letting the alcohol dissipate. Jiyu's husky voice drifted from behind. How were the past 3 years? The wind tousled my hair, conjuring a dramatic sense of a reunion across eons. I turned, catching the fleeting astonishment and conflict in Jiyu's eyes. After drinking so much, how is your stomach holding up? Instead of answering his question, I first showed concern for his health. He instinctively covered his stomach, a momentary daze crossing his face. He had always suffered from a weak stomach and was extremely picky about food. Back then, I spent a year figuring out his tastes and created a personalized nutrition menu just for him. I watched over him to ensure he ate properly every day, and always kept his regularly used stomach medicine and healthy snacks in my bag. Yet I still lost to that girl who took him to eat street food. Jiyu masked the odd look in his eyes and looked at me with a complicated expression. Don't you hate me? I shook my head. It's all in the past. In truth, there was no irreconcilable conflict between us. Moreover, as the saying goes, even if the business fails, kindness remains. With that, the atmosphere naturally relaxed significantly. He teased. You've become much more magnanimous. I smiled too. We're just not suited to be lovers, not that we can't be friends, right? In fact, after Jiyu and I called off the engagement 3 years ago, the relationship between our two families became extremely tense. These 3 years have been a head-to-head confrontation, directly turning us from prospective in-laws into business rivals engaged in open and covert struggles. Now, everyone in the circle knows my parents dote on me like life itself, and they marvel at the momentum of my family's business development. Many those in power have repeatedly warned the younger generation that it's best to build a good relationship with me, and if that's not possible, they must never provoke me. After returning to China, countless unfamiliar friends emerged from every corner, bombarding me with invitations. One more like, "Gee, you wouldn't make a difference, especially since there's no need for our families to remain enemies. I suspect Ji attended my welcome banquet at his family's behest to mend relations. After all, the Ji family, as a towering presence showing signs of fatigue, can't afford another powerful rival." Sensing my implication, Ji relaxed, leaning against the railing opposite me as we casually discussed the past 3 years' changes. Our evenly matched auras created an unexpectedly harmonious ease. Out of the corner of my eye, a white hemming flashed around the corner. I smiled, anticipating an interesting future. Thereafter, Ji contacted me more frequently, asking for that old nutrition menu. I shared it in detail, urging him to take better care of himself. Though he pretended to find me tedious, his warmth was undeniable. Instead of rushing back to work, I spent this rare leisure revisiting old haunts, filling my social media with memories, many tied to Ji. I suspected he stalked my posts, always liking and commenting instantly. "The dean's still bald, huh? Is that the orange cat we fed? It's still around. I remember we tied a red rope on this ancient tree. You refused to show me your wish." I'd reply to trivial comments, ignoring those crossing the line. When a celebrity's new girlfriend mocked a classic song I loved as obscene during a live stream, I posted the track that night. Minutes later, Ji called, voice taut with irritation. He wasn't a fangirl, but he never missed that singer's concerts, proof of his affection. I listened quietly, offering occasional murmurs of agreement, and we talked for over an hour until when Man's voice interjected. "Oh, haven't you finished working?" Ji paused but didn't hang up, sounding annoyed. "Why did you come in?" When Man demanded. "You're on the phone with her again, aren't you?" I hung up. This was their drama, not mine to interfere in. 3 minutes later, Ji called back, weary. "Sorry, Nanan, you got dragged into this." I soothed, "It's okay. When Man's sensitive, she needs your attention and security. Our history is complicated. It's natural she dislikes me. We should keep our distance." His brief silence betrayed thinly veiled irritation. Haven't I given her enough security? She's the one being unreasonable. During my years abroad, I'd stayed well informed. After the breakup, Ji had knelt for days, starving himself to force his family to accept one man, who'd camped outside the Ji villa, weeping herself hoarse. Their forbidden love saga, rebellious heir and tenacious ingenue, had become an industry tale of true love, complete with fake tears. But post-happy ending, reality struck. When Ji family partnerships collapsed, when Man became the scapegoat, the Jis demanded she abandon her career, learn proper etiquette and stay home. After all, a home-wrecking mistress shouldn't embarrass them in public. Fresh out of college, when Man had sacrificed her rising career for Ji's promise of eternal love, only to cling jealously to him, turning petty jealousy into a chore. Hormonal passion, as ever, paled beside human nature's constancy. Sighing, I turned to Li Wan, another sponsored student now my assistant. "Can you understand her choices?" Li Wan's cold expression flickered with disdain. "Never. Why gamble everything on a man's fleeting affection when success is within reach?" I mused. "Has one man seen her family lately?" Li Wan nodded. "I'll handle it." Our rapport regressed after that call. I ignored most messages and invitations, leaving Ji anxious. When he begged Li Wan for a meeting, she feigned slip-up. Boss's depression flared up after online smears. Madam sent her to a sanatorium. Ji froze. "Depression?" Li Wan pretended to panic. "I shouldn't have said that." That night, Ji drove to my family's estate, only to be rebuffed by my mother. He pleaded until she relented, giving him the sanatorium address. En route, Li Wan detailed my severe depression abroad, how I'd been a hollow shell, attempting suicide multiple times. Ji stared out the window, eyes red. He found me in a blue-striped gown, staring blankly at birds outside, sunlight softening my fragile beauty. He whispered, "Nanan." I stiffened, feigning surprise. "Why are you here?" He chided gently. "Why didn't you tell me?" I brushed it off. "It's nothing, Mom overreacted." His gaze dropped. "Did I cause this?" I cut him off. "I'm bored, they took my phone. Take me out." He hesitated, then cleared his throat, cheeks flushing as he relented like a teenager again. To evade Li Wan, he drove us to a hidden snack street, their romantic spot, no doubt. I feigned ignorance, owing over fried potatoes and stinky tofu. He carried our snacks, laughing at my sour grimace from Tonghulu. "I thought you hated this stuff." I blushed. "I've pretended for you." I used to lie about summer camps to join my parents' charity work in mountains. I was a tomboy climbing trees eating spicy strips. I even liked gum that came with stickers. His smile faded, studying me intently. Why hide that? I fidgeted. You were a rich heir. I didn't want you to think I was tacky. As sunset gilded the river, I stood to leave. In the car, Ji-yu finally broached the past. When you saved me back then. I knew he referred to middle school, when he'd been sent to his hometown after a fight, forced to kneel in the ancestral hall under strict Ji family rules. I happened to be doing charity work there with my parents when 3 consecutive days of torrential rain caused a landslide that flooded the Ji family's ancestral hall. I'd been wandering the area, hoping to run into Ji-yu, and witness the disaster. I immediately called for rescue and joined the JIS in digging through mud to find him. When he was pulled out, he opened his eyes weakly and saw my bedraggled face. Thank goodness you're safe, Ji-yu, I panted. From that moment he truly accepted me. The JIS halted there of my father and arranged our engagement, allowing Chow Enterprises to grow until we rivaled the JIS. Everyone assumed our union was inevitable, until when I caught them in a tender moment, I snapped. When man is using you. Ji-yu stared coldly. And you're innocent? Aren't you after something too? He pulled Wen Man into his arms and left as she cowered. Soon after, he broke off our engagement. Now, as I turned to him with feigned sadness, of course I approached you on purpose, because I liked you. He gripped the steering wheel until his knuckles whitened. A sudden break. He turned as a tear rolled down my cheek. I know the man you beat was a bully. You've always had a sense of justice, and that's why I liked you. Finding you in the mountains felt like fate. My voice trembled as I forced a smile. His eyes reddened. He gently took my hand, pressing his forehead to mine. I'm sorry, Nanan. I didn't know. I slowly withdrew my hand, urging him to cherish Wen Man. His gaze softened with guilt and affection. After leaving the sanatorium, I joined the family company as vice president. My 3 years abroad had been spent revitalizing overseas branches, turning around failing businesses, and delivering impressive profits. The board run approved my skills, while my father secretly prepared for retirement. As I settled into work, Li Wan reported cracks in Ji-yu and Wen Man's relationship. Arguments, misgatherings, and Ji-yu moving back to the villa. Wen Man's parents, sensing their daughter's precarious position, demanded exorbitant bride price and assets for her brother, humiliating the JIS and straining her relationship with Ji-yu, who stayed silent during their clashes. At our pre-retention strategy meeting, my father had outlined our plan. Retreat to make him miss me, contrast my versatility with Wen Man's simplicity, and use calculated distance to spark his jealousy. Now, as Ji-yu grew increasingly anxious about my depression and sudden distance, I let Li Wan leak staged social media smears of me as a homewrecker, cementing my role as the tragic, magnanimous ex in public opinion. When Ji-yu finally managed to meet me, I'd just come from a blind date, complaining loudly about my parents' rush to marry me off. His jaw tensed at the mention of other suitors, though he tried to hide it. As we spoke, his phone, repeatedly buzzing with Wen Man's calls, became a pointed reminder of his fraying relationship. I gently chided him to reconcile with Wen Man, subtly recalling how she'd misinterpreted my offer to help with math homework years ago, a memory that now soured in his mind. Soon, Wen Man's parents reappeared, begging for forgiveness and leveraging family ties to worm back into her life. The JIS, though disgusted, relented for Ji-yu's sake. Meanwhile, I prepared for my birthday gala, the first major event since my return. At the party, Ji-yu and Wen Man arrived arm in arm, but a clumsy accident left Wen Man stained and embarrassed in front of guests. As I stepped in to help her change, Ji-yu's grateful gaze lingered, contrasting sharply with his indifference toward Wen Man. The scene solidified my image as the composed, gracious heir, while Wen Man's fragility and family baggage made her seem unfit for Ji-yu's world. As the night wore on, the tension between the three of us hung thick, each interaction a calculated move in the silent battle for control. The gala was more than a celebration. It was a declaration of my return to power, and a subtle reminder to Ji-yu of what he'd thrown away. The stage was set for the final act, letting his regret and longing unravel whatever was left of his commitment to Wen Man. I turned to lead Wen Man away. In the dressing room, she suddenly looked up at me. You're proud of this, aren't you? She sneered. Your condescending act is disgusting. Don't think I don't know you did this on purpose. Just because you were born into a wealthy family, you bully others. Don't you feel ashamed? I sighed. Being weak doesn't make you right. My parents built everything from scratch through hard work, and as their daughter, I've inherited and expanded their legacy. Why should I be ashamed? You could have become a high achiever through your own efforts. Why throw away your future for a man? That's what I'll never understand. We'd first met Wen Man during a charity trip to her village. At 13, she'd been dragged by her father and a local bachelor, her eyes full of despair. We called the police and she'd knelt, begging to leave with us, desperate to escape her stagnant life. Li Wan, similarly sponsored, had vowed, knowledge changes destiny. I'll study to build my own future. Both were supported, but their choices diverged sharply. When Man's fists clenched, tears trembling in her eyes. I hate your self-righteous tone. Choosing love isn't a crime. Ji-yu is the only one who's ever been good to me. He's my salvation. What's wrong with loving him? Just because you sponsored me, I must obey you? Yes, I stole your fiancé. Did you know Ji-yu hates your smug superiority as much as I do? Your sponsorship is just charity and hypocrisy. Disgusting. I laughed. Spending money on your education, giving you opportunities, teaching you, this is control? You never refused the Zuzhu sponsorship. Why? Her anger intensified. You used my dependence to keep me away from Ji-yu. Isn't that control? Not at all, I even helped bring you two together. I smiled faintly. Why is his kindness a salvation? But mine is condescension. Is it because he's a man? When Man froze, then snapped. He's genuinely good to me. You just used me to look virtuous. Before I could respond, I fainted. As when Man panicked, the door burst open. Nan! Ji-yu shouted, rushing in. Li Wan followed. She's having a depression episode from the stress. Ji-yu scooped me up, demanding of When Man. What did you say to her? I didn't, she's lying. When Man shrieked. But Li Wan retorted. You were sponsored too. Yet you stole her fiancé and smeared her online. The crowd erupted in outrage. My father thundered. Ji-yu, how dare you let your fiancé bully my daughter? Ji-yu held me tighter. I'm sorry, uncle. I'll apologize when Nan wakes. When Man and I are no longer engaged. I'll clarify the rumors and make amends. When Man collapsed, clutching his sleeve. I'm sorry. What about our child? Ji-yu coldly replied, abort it, and carried me out. As I slept, I reflected on When Man's words. Love and deception, how to distinguish them. I thought of online debates about sponsored students choosing early marriage. Marriage is a partnership. Lasting love requires equality. Some, like When Man, see love as a shortcut to status, ignoring the risks of easy paths. When I awoke, Ji-yu was beside me, eyes bright with relief. Nan, I regret everything. Can you forgive me? I withdrew my hand, staring out the window. There's nothing to forgive. We're in the past. You're about to marry When Man. He rushed to say, I won't. She manipulated me, slandered you. You saved her, and this is her repayment? I'll never be with someone so ungrateful. His voice softened. You understand me best. We belong together. Unseen by Ji-yu, my father was orchestrating a takeover of G Enterprises, exposing their illegal activities, tax evasion, construction scandals, covered up by his father for years. As G Group's market value plummeted, my father profited vastly in the stock market. One day, as Ji-yu and I built a snowman, I suddenly kicked its head off. Game over, I said, walking away. Confused, he called after me, but I left without a backward glance. The G family's downfall was swift. Ji-yu, expelled from the board, became a pariah. At a business event, he begged to meet me, now gaunt and desperate. You lied to me, he accused. No, I said. I did like you at first. But when you and When Man betrayed me, I realized it was time to move on. When Man, now pregnant, raged at me. You planned this all. I replied coldly. Saving you was my first mistake. Helping the ungrateful invites karma. I saved you, fed you, but you bit the hand that fed you. Why should I show mercy? After Ji-yu's ruin, When Man's family sold her back to the JS, trapping her with a child that might not even be Ji-yu's. Karma is a cycle, I noted. Li Wan nodded solemnly. As a phone rang, I smiled at Li Wan. Mom and Dad want us home for dinner. Dad caught a big fish. Her icy demeanor warmed. Let's go. Then,